November 24th, 2020. It has been quite a while since I've done a live show, any show, and there was a kind of only two shows since like March. There's been a lot of things happening in my life, issues to deal with, health, personal things going on, distractions. I'm the kind of guy that can't multitask. I mean, it's Eddie G's Music World, by the way. I'm like I get distracted with problems. I get distracted with issues, and my head just spins away from what I'm trying to concentrate on. So that's the main reason why I haven't done too many shows. It's just been that kind of thing that's been happening a lot. I had a health scare, test results, people pointing in different directions, and making me go and do about three major scan tests that all lead to the same conclusion that there's minor issues that are not major. So I can kind of go on and not have to be completely worried about what's going on in in my life health wise. So I figured I might as well just wing a show and talk about whatever's on my mind and let it happen, and maybe get to a little Canadian music discussion as well, since I've been focusing a lot on that, just by trying to dig up some bands that have kind of not gotten their a lot of attention. Some of them I heard of, some of them I haven't. It's kind of a bit of a countdown thing. Now, in the last 6 weeks or so, Eddie Van Halen died. That was a really big story. He had throat cancer and different cancers, tongue cancer, and there was some curiosity as to what would happen in the future of Van Halen. There was some issue with, like, I know Sammy Hagar had reached out a couple of years ago to Eddie and sort of trying to get a little conversation going. And I think it might have gone on behind the scenes, like the reach out was on Twitter, and then maybe they somehow got together and talked. And Sammy Hagar probably got more details about the health. So Eddie Van Halen did pass away, and his son was on Howard Stern about 2 weeks ago, and he had a song called "Distance" by the band. He uses the name he uses is Mammoth because that was how Van Halen called themselves back in the early days, was Mammoth. So he used that name, obviously with the endorsement of his uncle. Alex is probably didn't care, and they're not competing with the kid. And he was asked, "Would you want to try to put a band together with Wolfgang singing and maybe hiring David Lee Roth or Sammy or not, and Michael Anthony playing bass, kind of patching together a band again?" He dismissed it because his father said, "Don't do my thing, do your own thing." And I heard the song "Distance" and one other one that this Wolfgang did all the instruments for. I was quite impressed. I have to say, the kid has a good voice. He sounds a lot like Lifehouse. So if you're listening to this, just go Google Lifehouse and you'll hear the singer. His name is Jake something. He sounds a lot like Wolfgang. Excuse me. So, I pointed that out to Wolfgang and the band, but I'm not the kind of person that gets a lot of replies from people in the music business. That kind of do their own thing. And anyway, so the song is good. Distance. It's about his kind of a song he wrote and recorded, or at least wrote it, and his father heard it while he was in his last few weeks, and then played all the instruments, put it out. I don't know. I heard it's doing well on iTunes. I didn't check Billboard, so I don't know where it is that in there. But it's a very good song. He plays all the instruments. He sings pretty good, and talented guy. He has in the video like videos of himself as a kid playing with his father, music, and interacting with the mother and father and other things. So I thought I'd bring that up just because it's a major event that happened. Another major event, well, little things that have been going on. I've been getting into massive Twitter fights with people. I have a friend that I'm fighting with. I've been hassled on Twitter and YouTube a lot. Seems like people want to pick personal fights with me. Like, if I don't like Donald Trump, which I've been very like open about, and if I think the guy does or says something I didn't like, and I mention it, and I don't go directly to someone and say, by the way, I want to tell you that this guy's an idiot. I make sure I never personally attack anybody who likes Donald Trump. But my problem is there's people who see and hear what I say, and then they come after me to tell me to stop saying it. Those people are obnoxious, because if you don't like what I say about someone else, why are you fighting with me? I'm not pointing it out directly to you. I'm not telling you you have to notice something that's bad about someone I hate. But if you're going to come after me, the last guy was a guy that, he did that. And I sent him a tweet. I said, block and unfollow me, because if you're going to personally try to make a fight with me over comments that are not at you, I'm not blaming you for liking someone. You can like someone for the rest of your life till you're 99 years old, and you'll never hear a peep out of me. I'm not criticizing you. You like someone, good. Enjoy yourself. That someone lost, and now all these conspiracy theories came out, and I get mad. And I have a friend that's a music fan. I'm not getting along with him, because every time somebody floats a ridiculous theory out there, he takes it as gospel and he starts defending the theory, saying, "Well, this happened, and this website said this," and it's like, I have to constantly. This is what creates a lot of animosity between me and people, because they feel that they back up claims that are not legally believable. They're not legally provable, and they just spout them off. Because if I make a comment that I say a specific person has said and done something, but I can't prove it, and it's not even realistic, you shouldn't have to defend like the comment. Like, I don't want to have to constantly undo what people say about someone when it's not proven and they read it somewhere in some stupid website. And it's become an issue, and it's dividing countries, and people are getting mad. And I just felt I wanted to address it. I rarely talk about things other than music, but once in a while, I feel it's been a long time. I haven't talked much on here. I explain why, and for those few that do listen here and there, I'm appreciative. And also, I do this as a time capsule as I get older. I hope one day my children and maybe two or three people will find me on YouTube that hear what I have to say, and maybe um, absorb little bits of entertainment or interest into what the things that I'm saying. So that's my speech for the current situation. Um, I did kind of begin something, and I'm going to try to continue down the road to what I was doing, which is discussing Canadian bands. Now, like I said before, this is kind of a fluid list. It's a rotating list. It's not a list that's locked in. It changes because it's some kind of a chart system, but it's not a big deal to be wondering like who's number this and who's number that. It's just for entertainment and discussion. So I'm going to get back to that. And now that I see my list, well, I'm going to jump into where I was on the list last time. Number 69 in the Canadian top acts from Ranker is Avril Lavigne. Now, I don't think there's a whole lot of information I can tell you that you don't know about her, except that she had Lyme disease in the last few years, was married to the singer of Nickelback, no longer is. Now, the last time they were on about 2 years ago on a show, they might be friends of some kind, so I don't know. Her career, it's amazing how in 2002 she just became this huge act, and flew into the scene, and took over the world. In 2020, she's kind of an oldies act, but she had an amazing run of about 7 or 8 years of hits, and that's amazing. And that's worldwide. She's not just a Montreal or Canadian act. So that's what I can say about her. Number 68 is The Trues. I think they were some kind of a maritime band, but I can't tell you for sure. They did an opening act for Robert Plant in 2004 or 5. I appreciated them. They were very good, but they kind of fly under the radar of big bands. And I think I once looked them up about a year or two ago, and they were still around. So they've never become this big band, but they're also still pushing through. And their music is quite good. The singing and the songs. I forget the names of the songs, but number 67 on Canadian acts is the Kings. Now they had this breakthrough hit, "Switching to Glide," and "This Beat Goes On." Got to about number 3 on the Billboard chart, and I believe what happened was I had an interaction on one of their YouTube videos, and I said, I wish these guys would do shows. This is before the virus slowed down the tours. And the actual one of the members, he had a bit of a conversation with me, and he said, well, you're talking touring Montreal and doing a show in Montreal. He says, I seem to remember doing a show there, and almost nobody really cared. And if you think we're gonna go and do concerts for like 7 people, we're gonna go broke. So he was polite about it, but he kind of at least replied, which is rare that anybody replies that was in a band that actually had a tiny following or a little bit following. Number 66, City and Color. I believe this a recent band. There was some kind of a song on some CBC chart countdown type of show, and that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So if I'm correct, they're a reasonably new band. Arkells. The only bell that rings is that they're a country act, and I don't have much more to say than that because I've not researched them. They're at number 65. Spirit of the West, also a country act from out west. One of these bands, they popped a couple of songs out. I'm almost sure they're not a big deal outside of the Western Canada, but I doubt if they're around anymore, or if they are. There was a documentary about Spirit of the West, but why would I even bother with it? There's no song that jumps out at me, except the fact that I know the name, and there might be a song I heard once or twice. Number 63, David Wilcox. I think from my 1980 stint in University Radio at Concordia, I think this is a guy that I tried to interview, and I think I might have, but it's so long, it's like 40 years ago. There was some guy named Wilcox, but I think that might be him or might not. It doesn't matter really. But Headpins, Don't It Make You Feel Like Dancing or something. Then they had Just One More Time. They had 2 hits. They kind of creeped their way into the American charts, the lower levels. Holly Woods or something was her name. She kind of like this frizzy 80s hairstyle, kind of rough style, poppy, a bit rock. I liked them. They had those 2-3 songs. They're like the band Toronto. You kind of liked them. They kind of were slowly getting their act together, and then they just kind of slipped into obscurity. Number 61 is Toronto. It's funny, I just mentioned Toronto, then I checked and did the next band. Another band that had like a couple of songs. One was Bubbling Under. I can't remember the song now that I think about it. I'm not going to start looking them up. But Toronto was a band that kind of like the Headpins, maybe a little bit less, about the same. A little following in the rock style. Nickelback, massive band. Somehow they became famous for being hated. I don't understand the whole mentality of this group, why they took this band and turned it into a band that people wanted to hate. There was a video of them, maybe they didn't like the feedback in some European concert, and they whipped their instruments on the ground and walked off the stage. Like I say, Chad Kroeger was married to Avril Lavigne. I don't know, they're kind of good. They had a few good songs. They sold millions of records, and I don't know if they're currently still running around much. There's no touring anyway, and a new Nickelback album, I doubt if people are going to go bonkers for them. But they did have a massive following. This is a hugely successful band, not like the last 2. Men Without Hats, lots to say about them. I've had 2 meetings with the singer Ivan. When I was 20, he came into my radio show and started saying that he was supposed to have an interview with somebody, and I didn't know who they were. This is like 2 or 3 years before they had Safety Dance out, and so I don't remember. It's a foggy memory. It's 40 years ago. Did I talk to them on air or off air and on air? I don't remember. I just knew that at the time they weren't a big deal, so nobody really. I don't think I really cared much, but I probably did speak to them because I think they expected to be interviewed, and then the guy wasn't there that was supposed to do the interview, so maybe I said a few words to them live and I forgot. But I did meet Ivan later on in a bar. He was a little looked a bit down on his luck, and he signed an autograph. He was rolling a joint by himself, sitting in a chair, so he wasn't drawing any attention. And I know that there's been articles that he's basically lives off the avails of Safety Dance and Pop Goes the World, and maybe puts him in ads, puts him in movies, so he lives well off of that. Kind of markets the songs. Must own the publishing. 58, the Northern Pikes, two or three good songs, kind of like laid back pop, slightly country tinged. Oh, somebody's here. I figured I'd say hi. Is it the Grigster? Hi, Greg. One of my great cohorts of talk show that he does. John, also totally right, Eddie. I'm English and I try to avoid U.S. politics. Yeah, it's just a mess, John. It's just an ugly mess. I'm glad to be back, Grigster. I've just been distracted. I have the attention span of an ant, so it's easy for me to just get off track with things that I want to do, like this show. And I missed it. I've heard a few of your shows. Always been entertained. Even when you came on with your laid back look and Caress tried to convince me that it wasn't you. That was cute, but it was. I'm glad to see that you're still doing it. It's a rough business, hard to make a big mark, but you're crawling, you're running, you're flying, you're still in the game, and I'm impressed and honored to still know you, and I'm glad. And John, I appreciate the comments too, because any feedback I get is, and yes, Greg, so if your friends don't dance and you want to hear rumor, he said that he got kicked out of a bar. The reason he wrote Safety Dance, he got kicked out of a bar because he was dancing too freakishly, and the bouncer said you're not safe to dance because you're jumping up and down and doing punky dances and pogos. And he said the bouncer booted him out, and that's how it inspired him to write Safety Dance, because the guy said you're not safe to dance. And look, that was a massive song. Okay, I'm going to get back to my list, get a little bit further down. Platinum Blonde, one of the only times I've been to a show in Montreal where it was sold out and there were no scalpers trying to sell tickets. Platinum Blonde. These guys had dyed blonde hair. They had two or three songs that were American minor hits. I even saw one of these guys later on. He did an opening act in 2007 for Ace Frehley of Kiss, one of these members. But Platinum Blonde, they seem to get traction. They seem to be rolling, and infighting kind of busted them apart. And then when I asked the guy about Platinum Blonde, because I saw him like years later, he says, "Oh, I'm not here to talk about Platinum Blonde. I'm talking about my solo project." So I said, "Fine." I didn't interview him. I just said hi to him. And that was that. I mean, he had some solo idea, and I doubt if it got anywhere. And like I said, I tried to see Platinum Blonde live, and it was sold out. I couldn't go. No scalpers. Helix, I remember seeing them. They opened up for Kim Mitchell. Great band. Also kind of broke into the American charts. Give me an R, give me an O, rock you. And it was the first time I've ever seen an opening act, the lead singer, sit in a regular chair and watch the headliner, which was Kim Mitchell from Max Webster. He actually was like three rows behind me, just sat like a regular fan watching the band that he opened up for. So I almost interviewed them. I had a bit of an email back and forth, but they kept like once or twice just said it's not the right time. That's okay. It's most of the time my shows are for just talking. It's not interviewing based that much. Number 55, Finger 11, another kind of punkish metal band that kind of got somewhere. They became like this trendy band about 2002, 3, 4, 5. Then I can't remember what happened to them, but they were like heavy rock or metal or punky type of band. Number 54, the Sheepdogs. That's a currently popular band. Another one, another act whose song I did get to hear a bit. I kind of liked it, but new music, it's just I have to be honest. It's an effort to actually keep up with it. In the last 7 or 8 years, I once went on Billboard and just started looking up new songs, and you know they were not bad. I mean, I kind of like tend towards the older stuff, but the newer songs were just. I don't listen to stations that play new music, so I'm kind of at a loss. But I thought it was okay, and forgot about it after that. Number 53, Burton Cummings. I don't think there's a whole lot to say about Burton Cummings that you don't know. Massive solo career, not massive, but decent solo career. Massively popular in Guess Who. I had tickets to see the Guess Who in July, but that concert got canceled, and so I didn't get to see the reunion of Guess Who again. But I did see them in 2000. So I got that. But Burton Cummings on his own is at number 53. Harlequin, I did see live as well. They opened up for Luba, or they co-headlined with Luba. They were both pretty big at the time, and they had a lot of. They were like kind of like Street Heart, Out West band. A lot of good rock songs. Go throw Harlequin into YouTube just for fun. Harlequin, Harlequin. Chances are, if you're in your 40s, you'll or 50s, you'll relate to the songs that you'll hear. They were all pretty popular in Montreal and out west. Big Wreck. I did see them live as well. Wow, three bands I saw in a row. They opened up for who was that? It was about 7 or 8 years ago. They had a couple of good rock songs, a video. I think it was. Did they open up for Queen? I can't remember. But they got on track, a little traction for them in the U.S., a little bit of headway. Now it kind of looks like they slipped back into just a popular Canadian band, and their outside of Canada success didn't last too long. They're probably making a living just running around Canada, kind of like a trooper type of thing. Sam Roberts, no, it's not the radio host that does a show with Jim Norton. It's the rocker that's, again, another guy, kind of locally very popular in Montreal, probably across Canada too. Has good rock songs. His family owned this company called Electrovert in the 70s, and my sister worked for the family. And she says she may have seen him a couple of times as a little boy because his father was co-owner, so like maybe he worked there or something, and she used to see him. Matthew Goodband, saw them, number 49 on the top Canadian list of music. We'll go to 40. See how that works. Matthew Goodband, I saw them live in the Old Club Soda, which is on Park Avenue. Very good. Had a few very edgy song, very alternative, like with a kind of like stressed out kind of music, like angsty. That's the word, like a bit of an Alanis feel for her early stuff. Not really Alanis style of music, but just that attitude. Number 48, the Stampeders, Sweet City Woman, I forget the other ones. They had a bunch of like hits in the early 70s. I toyed with booking bands. Like in 2004, I was kind of just like testing the waters. Like I kind of tend to launch ideas that get about 1 foot off the ground, and they just kind of fall. So I think for 3-4 months I was trying to book bands to do concerts, but they wanted like $8,000 and hotels and limousines, and I was like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? They actually, like, I was being serious. I wasn't joking, but I didn't know enough about it to be able to put up money like that. I mean, I would have had to risk my own $12,000-$14,000 worth of stuff, and if they only drove 30-40 people at like $20 a ticket, whatever, I could have lost $7,000 or $8,000, $9,000. I didn't have any money, so it was nice talking to them. I saved the emails we had, but I wasn't ready to put up big money to bring in a band that hadn't had a hit in like 45 years. Glass Tiger. Wow, it seems to be all these bands that I've had run-ins with are Saw them live for free on Crescent Street about 2009. This singer had a couple of tweets with me that he didn't, I don't know, I said something he didn't particularly like it. He's kind of a little rough. And he had that big hit with Bryan Adams. So they're very big in the US. #2 song with Bryan Adams and a few of their Someday and all that. But we met them, me and someone else met them at a club after their concert, and they were a little edgy and a little stressed out. But they signed autographs and let us take a picture or two. So it was nice of them. I think it's one of these guys, they're the guys from Scotland, but he grew up here, or maybe he's Scottish from his parents and he grew up somewhere in Canada. But they did have their good run, and now they're an oldies band like almost all these guys are. Headstones. Oh, I think they were from PEI. Hey, I bet you if Grigster's still listening, PEI, do you remember this band? The Headstones. There's a good chance the Grigster's heard of them, but for him, he's a lot younger than me, so they would have been an oldies band. So I can't remember what that song was that they played. Number 45, Big Sugar, Bluesy Rock. I think they were playing for free they were playing for free in the summertime about 17, 18 years ago, and I walked by. I mean, they kind of looked like a band. They were kind of grappling with success, and I don't know, it's kind of like one of these bands like the Boot Sauce, they kind of got a little traction and they just couldn't hold on to it long enough to be huge. But they had a couple of good songs. I remember they did a video at Olympic Stadium. You could recognize the area that they were shooting in. But what happened to them, like, I don't know. But I did like 2 or 3 songs. Crash Test Dummies, even heard Howard Stern imitating them. They actually had a couple of songs where this guy had this freakishly deep voice. I forget what these songs were. They were just like kind of comedically rock. I mean, they sounded like their music was legitimately reasonable. So they weren't untalented, but the way the guy sang and kind of talked his lyrics were like off the wall kind of attempts. But I mean, the guy actually broke through in the American charts for 2 songs. One was a slow, one was a bit faster, and throw their name, Crash Test Dummies. They were known, but not for long. Number 43, The Tea Party. Weird thing on Canada Day about 2007, we went to a ceremony of concerts, and everybody was there live except for the Tea Party. The guy, what's his name? Kind of sounds like Jim Morrison. He was in Europe somewhere, and they had a big screen, and they put him on the screen. So he was doing Tea Party songs. What's his name? I can't remember. He was singing his own songs and Tea Party songs. So you kind of saw him live, but it was like on a video screen. He wasn't actually there. But this Doors thing stuck with this guy, and they might have attempted a reunion. But like all these 90s bands, I mean, it's extremely like Moist. I mean, extremely hard to sustain 90s popularity into 2020. You just have to kind of milk the old songs and try to get 300 people in a club, which maybe after the virus dies down, there'll be that kind of thing happening again. Number 42 on the Ranker Top 40 list, Bruce Cockburn. It's another guy, coincidentally, that I almost booked, but he was having a heart procedure, and they actually entertained talking to me to do a show here. But they said, well, he's undergoing surgery. That was 2004. And then after that, he did have another surgery. So I hope he's okay. But when I tried, he was like health-wise was not in great shape, and he's still alive. So good for him. This will be my last song on the Ranker Top 40, Top 100. Metric. That band was catching fire. 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, they seemed to be clicking into some kind of pattern of popularity where people mentioned them in the States, and I think they might have made the top 200 Billboard charts. And it's a girl singing, kind of alternative type of alternative-esque, like garbage type of, like similar, like this risque singing and rock, or like Our Lady Peace vein, that type of thing. And I almost went to a show where they were opening, but I never saw them, and I didn't see the show. So, you know, but I want to say thanks for everybody who chimed in. It's Eddie G's Music World with a show, November 20th, 4th, 2020. I'll try to do a bit more since I'm a little bit more feeling up to it lately, and come back, and I'll try to do more and have a little more fun. Eddie G's Music World signing off, and thank you everyone. It's Grigster, John Father Gill for chiming in as well. Bye bye.